Language models are famously bad at things a pocket calculator nails. Arithmetic, today's date, a fact that changed last week. The obvious fix is to hand them tools. But who decides when to reach for the calculator versus the search engine, and how to phrase the call? Toolformer, from a paper by Schick and colleagues in 2023, has a wild answer. The model teaches itself with no human labeling tool use at all. Let's walk through how it pulls that off. The whole method is a recipe with 4 moves. Watch how the model bootstraps itself from plain text. Start with ordinary text. The model reads it and proposes places where an external tool might help, guessing what to call and with what arguments. A calculator here, a search there, sprinkled in as candidate calls. Then it actually runs those candidate calls. The calculator computes. The search engine returns a result. The translator translates. Each proposed call now has a real answer sitting next to it. Here is the clever filter. For each call, the model checks whether inserting the result makes its own prediction of the following words easier. Only calls that genuinely lower that loss are kept. The rest, the ones that added noise or did not help, are simply thrown away, so the surviving examples are all cases where the tool truly earned its place. Finally, the model is fine-tuned on this filtered, tool-annotated text. Because it only ever trained on calls that helped, it learns when a tool is worth reaching for and exactly how to phrase the call. Step back and look at the pipeline as a whole. This is self-supervision with no human in the loop. It all begins with raw text. Plain, unlabeled documents, the same data any language model already trains on. Nobody has marked where a tool should go. From there, the model proposes candidate calls, writing them inline where it suspects a tool would help. This is the model annotating its own training data. At the center sits the loss filter. Every candidate call gets executed and scored, and the pipeline keeps only the ones whose results reduce the model's prediction error on what comes next. Out the other end comes a model that calls tools on its own. Trained on that filtered, augmented data, it now decides in the moment whether to compute, search, or translate. So what is the real shift here? Compare it with how we usually bolt tools onto a model. The common approach is to prompt the model to use tools each time. You describe the tools in the context, hand over some examples, and hope it reaches for the right one at the right moment. It works, but the skill lives entirely in the prompt, and the model never truly internalizes when a tool is worth the trouble. Toolformer bakes the behavior into the weights through self-training. After fine-tuning, calling a tool is just something the model does natively, learned from concrete evidence about which calls actually improved its own predictions, so the decision no longer depends on how carefully you wrote the prompt. Okay, let us hold on to the essentials. Toolformer is a model that teaches itself to use external tools, from a paper by Schick and colleagues in 2023. It works in a self-supervised way, with no human annotations marking where or how to call a tool. The key trick is keeping only the calls whose results lower the model's own prediction loss on the following text. Training on those kept calls teaches the model when and how to use each tool by itself. If you enjoy having these papers decoded into plain English, come hang out at Standarity.com. See you in the next one.